Hi, how are ya? My name's Beta, and today I will be inflated, being made big and round. Yes, it is actually happening. The Inflation Life Jacket furry content creator is being put in an inflatable blueberry ball suit.
He's being unnerved.
How did this happen? Or rather, how has this not happened sooner? Well, it's all thanks to a few friends and close acquaintances I got to meet at Texas Furry Fiesta 2022, a convention that happened this last March. Which I'm assuming a majority of you have seen this specific suit on the internet a few times here and there. Especially if you're a furry, you probably have a friend who's been thrown into one of these things, or is like, yeah, wouldn't it be hot to be in one of these things? Physically and emotionally. Which, don't worry, there are plenty of twists and turns with this whole inflatable suit. Now, to give a brief summary as to how this all happened, this all occurred after my introduction to YouTube panel that I did for TFF, where a friend of mine came up to me and was like, hey, you see this inflatable ball suit? Would you like to be inside of this? And not even a heartbeat later, I am like, yes please, inflate me inside this suit. And surprisingly, the owner of the inflatable suit is actually an acquaintance of mine that I commissioned a bunch of times for a bunch of different furry art pieces I can't really talk about. But it was just kind of ironic that that came full circle. I'm like, oh hey, I know you, it's good to finally meet you. And then literally 5 seconds later, he's like, try on my inflatable suit, damn it. So I asked, when is this happening? How can I help make this happen? And they're like, you'll know when. I'm like, okay, no I won't, that doesn't help me. And then they just left, and I went on my merry way thinking, you know, at some point, I'm gonna be big and round. Big and round, big and round. Later that evening, I ended up in my friend Pineapple Fox's room for a party that he was throwing. Which, you know, he usually does that, we all love Pineapple Fox parties. And lo and behold, everyone in the room was in on it. They knew exactly what was happening. They had planned for me to show up to that room and be put in the inflatable ball suit. Awesome. Now, as for putting on the suit, since I know a lot of you are curious as to what it's like, the inflatable suit itself has 2 layers. The layer on the inside that sort of attaches itself to your body, as the exterior of it inflates and fills with air. So the space in between the 2 layers is how the suit itself inflates. And there's a zipper on the back of the suit which creates a little bit of a hole for you to climb inside. It is pretty tight, and you have to sort of get into a ball in order to get your hands through the holes and all that. But once you get your hands and legs inside, it's super easy. You just zip it back up and have someone inflate you. Which, a preemptive warning, you should have someone else inflating the suit with you, and potentially a third person to help ensure that you don't die. Or that if your head goes under and you can't breathe, which yeah, an emergency might happen and you might need to be pulled out of it immediately.
Are you not breathing?
Which luckily didn't happen with me, but, yeah. So as the suit was inflating, I was like, this is cool as hell. I'm a bit embarrassed because everyone's looking at me and making fun of me and teasing me to an extent, which, gonna be honest, isn't really my fetish. Neither is the whole inflatable ball suit thing, but you know what, I still wanted to try it. Which this goes on for about like 10 minutes before I start noticing a difference of like, oh shit, this thing is pretty big. And it got to a point where my hands, feet, and head were sort of getting pushed inside the suit, but it hadn't fully inflated yet. Like, there was a lot more room to spare for this suit, and it was already getting tight around my body, which was when the regret and panic started to kick in. As comfy as everything was, I started to realize that my feet were going farther apart. Imagine you're like doing the splits as far as you can, but you're being held up while doing it, or you're like doing a jumping jack where you're all sprawled out. That's kind of what was happening in my case of being in that suit, and the more it inflated, the farther it went. And I'm just standing there talking with friends, and the suit's still inflating. I'm like, wait a minute, it's going up to my neck, and there's still space for the suit to expand. I feel like I've made a mistake. And I quickly began to realize this as the suit itself got taller and bigger to the point where I had to stand on my tippy toes to ensure that I have enough height to allow my mouth to get oxygen. A little TLDR, these suits are made for a specific height. I did not meet the qualifications for this height. And so, if I wasn't doing everything in my power to ensure that my mouth had access to the hole in the top, my head was going to slide under. Because you see, there's a little bit of a collar for where the head and neck are. When you go underneath that collar, let's just say access to oxygen isn't as great. Yeah. And so very quickly, the experience went from this is amazing to this is awful, I'm fighting for my life here, and everyone else is partying around me thinking I'm having a wonderful time. Which I still was, but, you know, asphyxiation isn't, again, a fetish of mine. So I was using a lot of my physical energy to, you know, not suffocate, while the suit itself was fully expanded and people were just kind of pushing me around a little bit. And you couldn't really hear me screaming, being like, please don't push me. There's a good chance that I could suffocate and die. And then one of my friends, Taliesin, took like a cracker and threw it into like the little hole where my mouth was. And that didn't help anything. In fact, that put me into a bit of a panic. So I was like screaming like, ah, God, deflate me, making me flat and sad. And when the suit was fully inflated, I had to keep my chin up and keep my jaw open to keep my head from sinking into the suit as well. And so as you can tell, when the cracker was thrown into the suit, that didn't bode too well for me. But once the panic and terror eventually went away, I kind of got to feel what the suit was like. If you are into having a massive vinyl hug, then this thing is for you. Obviously within reason and within safety precautions. Every part of my body, besides obviously the parts that were sticking out, was constricted and tight. Now, not too tight that I couldn't do anything or breathe, but tight enough that it was a nice hug. And then I started to realize, oh wait, I'm in Texas, and there's a lot of people in this room. This thing is super hot and I'm sweating like a motherfucker. And that's sort of the thing with vinyl, like the heat sort of traps within the chamber of your body in the suit, so there isn't much to really cool off, believe it or not. But honestly, after about 5 minutes in the suit, I kind of understood why people like it. I personally loved it. I would have loved a suit that fitted me a bit better, which was the lesson I learned from there. You gotta have one that's more fitted to your body. You can't just go and buy a big inflatable suit on the internet and just think, oh yeah, this'll fit me, I won't die, smile.
I'm kind of crushed.
But honestly, I really enjoyed my time in that inflatable suit. Which was kind of funny if you think about it, that there was a full-on party going on while I was taking up like 2/3 of the space of the room, and everyone was just chill with it. I mean, minus the people that were like teasing me and prodding at me and trying to push me around, which I wasn't really a fan of when I'm also trying to fight for my life and they might not have known it until like 2 minutes into my torture. But minus all of the panic and fear, the situation was funny. And I appreciate the friends that helped me not die and kept me from falling over, because again, I was only on my tippy toes, and the suit at the bottom near the floor, which was rounded, so I was very, very, very easily able to flip over. So that whole situation was far from relaxing, but when my friends decided, okay, we should maybe deflate the suit a little bit, that's when I got to sort of feel what it was like to be inside one of these things. Which I'm gonna be honest, as someone who's always wanted to be in one of those life jackets sort of like that, I get it. It kind of felt like your entire body was getting a hug. It was being held up by vinyl. Something similar to a pool toy feeling, like a big pool toy hug. It was kind of fun being somewhat trapped in a suit like this and having friends like pull you around a little bit with ease. It became a bit more easier because people were gentle with me as the night went on. But honestly, I want to give a big collective thanks to my friends for helping me out with this situation and allowing me the opportunity to try on one of these suits. I know, surprisingly, it's been like 3-4 years and I haven't tried it on earlier than this. But a big thanks to everyone that made this happen, and a thank you to the owner of the suit for being so understanding and chill and just really nice about my panic and about the situation of the suit being literally drenched in sweat, because again, I was hot and yeah, I was very moist at the end of that. It looked like I just walked out of like the shower with my clothes on. It was awful. And who knows, maybe I'll get to try it on again in the future. But either way, this video was pretty much the highlight of me getting to try on the suit and showing you what it pretty much looks like going into it, along with some of the little feelings and descriptions that you wouldn't normally get from a video like that, hence the commentary. So, you know, if you want more videos like this of me commentating over just raw footage and talking about whatever, please let me know in the comments. It's very similar to the Call of Duty commentary that I used to do when I was a kid, so if you enjoy it, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do more of this in the future. But either way, that's about it for me. Thank you all for watching, have an awesome day as always, and stay life jacket. Take care.
I lived, wow.
Can I send this picture to your mom?
Oh my God.